So by 2016, we and our partners at WorkSafe who were litigating this issue along with Kaoosji said, well, we need to adjust the law, right? The law isn't applying the way it should. And our state senator here in California, Connie Leyva, took on this issue as an issue because it wasn't just in that workplace, but also she was previously with United Food and Commercial Workers, retail workers who work inside of indoor facilities who are loading and filling up the grocery stores. They actually turn off the air conditioning at night when the customers aren't there. And then the people who are loading the grocery stores in the deserts here in California are working in the heat, even though they're in a grocery store. So she saw the same issue happening in her union before she became a state senator. So similarly, we saw that an opportunity for not just to engage around the warehouses, but around all indoor workers, because there's other sites where there's, machines, right, that create ambient heat inside of the workplace. A variety of different situations. We want to make sure that we're working in solidarity with workers across the economy, not just people in the warehouses, and establish this policy. And again, the key thing there is it took almost 10 years for that policy to go into effect. Kaoosji obviously had to deal with COVID and many other things that they were dealing with, but the average OSHA standard does take about a decade, sometimes up to two decades, to actually go through the process and go into effect. And all the OSHA standards that were in process are, again, probably out the window at this point at the federal level. So that's all to say, our focus over these years when the policy wasn't in effect was to organize. And we still think that is the strategy, is to bring workers together to speak up in the workplace in a collective manner about what's going on, to demand water, to demand breaks, to demand that they and their coworkers received adequate training. And we've seen that is the most important thing. If you file a Kaoosji complaint, the agency has 6 months. It usually takes 6 months to actually determine and cite the employer. So it's inevitably winter by the time that actually happens. We need to make changes in real time when these things are happening. And what we found is that direct action in the workplace, but also, support from community organizations like ours and community partners who can come and put pressure on employers, can make real difference in real time. And when workers do, this in collective manner, they can get employers to change their practices pretty quick, to provide extra breaks, to make sure the water is there. And I think it is the kind of thing that when workers do that, it doesn't just impact the handful or couple dozen people who take that action. It impacts everybody, right? Everybody in the workplace say, "Oh, I can take that break. Oh, I can have that water," right? And so that really leads to the workers, feeling that solidarity and ability to support each other. Again, like we're not in all 1,000 warehouses, not anywhere close, and most of the workers in our region or across our state don't have organizations or unions that they can work with at this point, unfortunately. So we also know that agencies like Kaoosji are highly understaffed. Other states are even worse off than us. And so it's going to take, not just government agency engagement and popular education, which has happened in California, but also, direct engagement in the community. So it's not just about having the policy. It's not just about hoping that Kaoosji shows up, but it's about educating our communities as much as we can. The other thing I would note is that, it's hot out after work too. And the workers we organize tend to, live in, low income or working class communities. Their housing is necessarily air conditioned. People live in trailers, right? People live close to the freeways. So they go out, they come home from work and then are in a home that's also not air conditioned. And so that heat kind of just retains throughout the week, throughout the work week, and compounds. So that just leads to people being even more kind of endangered. So it's, again, systemic. It's not just about the one workplace or another. It's about these systems that make it more difficult for folks to be protected. So we do see, like broad-based collective action as part of the solution, not just around this issue, but also related things like pace of work, right? Like wages and other aspects of what makes these jobs difficult and dangerous jobs.